my channel. I am Katherine. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by, and if you're returning, I'm so glad you came by. Today's video is going to be all about tassels. I am so darn excited to show you all this. I really think I'm going to have a lot of tassels in 2020. I just absolutely love the vibe that it gives off. It's very bohemian. It's definitely making a comeback in a more modern style, and you see them all over the internet and in stores. So I wanted to bring in tassels into our home for the springtime because they're just so pretty. They can really add dimension to a space and just elevate a basic piece. If you're interested in bohemian style, how to create fringes, or you just absolutely love fringes in general, then keep on watching the video. We're going to start off with the basic of how to create a tassel, and then this specific tassel is going to lead us into our first project. But what you're going to need is some thread, scissors, and needle, and a board or book, something that you can use to wrap the yarn around. Keep in mind that the amount of times that you wrap the yarn, the thicker it will become, and the length you wrap it will determine the outcome of either a short or long tassel. In this case, I wrapped it horizontal 20 to 30 times because I want a semi-thick tassel but not too bulky. So now let's cut another piece of thread that's about 8 inches. I'll be specifically telling you my measurements just in case you want to recreate this exactly. Take that thread and pull it through the bundle and make sure to double tie it. This particular yarn that I'm using is more on the silky side, so I did experience a little bit unraveling throughout these projects. So you just want to make sure to double tie them. Even if you think it's secure, just make sure you tie it and tighten it. We're going to cut off another thread, and this one is going to be used to create the head of the tassel. You can either be done with this part just by double tying it, but I like the seamless rope look around the tassel. So I'm going to take one end of the string and just wrap it around 1 or 2 times, tie a knot, double tie it, and then cut the ends off. Next, we're going to take the opposite end of the tassel and cut that loop, and you will be left with some uneven ends. You can go ahead and trim them off and straighten up the end. Now you just learned how to make your own tassel, but this is going to lead us into our first project. So all you're going to need is the needle that I mentioned earlier, and I'm using a plastic needle big enough for the yarn to go through the hole. You will also need some wooden beads. I really like the case that I have. It came with an assortment of different sizes, so I have really tiny ones up into very large ones, but for this particular one I'm going to be using the medium size. Once both of the threads are through the needle, the fun part is adding the beads. So my idea was to have 3 wooden beads linked together, and then they spread out on the left and right side and come back together to create the door tassel. And this part is self-explanatory. I just removed one of the threads that was in the plastic needle so that I can begin beading one side of the thread, and then I would do the other side. In total, I had 10 beads on one side, not including the 3 that we linked together. And I'm going to tie a very loose knot just to make sure that the beads don't roll anywhere. And you're going to replicate this on the other side. Tie a knot together, double tie it again, and then you have your doorknob tassel. I'm really excited about this next one. We are going to be creating a wall garland with tassels. Now, depending on where you want to put your garland, it's going to be a different size for everyone. I want to put ours behind our couch, and I want it to be really long. But instead of creating one longer, I'm going to make 2 garlands and put them together. That way I can use them throughout the home. So first thing is to measure your space that you want your garland hanging from. We will be using the same material from the last DIY. Gather your measurements and cut the length of your garland piece. In my case, I'm going to be cutting 2 90-inch pieces. This DIY is incredibly easy. You're going to take one end of your thread and put it through the plastic nail head and then just start beading it. Have fun with this part because you're going to see that I actually switched it up from just putting all the same sizes on one of the garlands to just playing around with different sizes on the other one. Here's another way that you can create a tassel just by using your hand. You're just gonna rope the thread around your hand. In this case, I wrapped it around 40 times. Cut a long enough piece to hang from the garland. This is gonna be the part that you're gonna use to secure your tassels onto the garland. Here's another way to create that seamless thread around the tassel. I just crisscross it and flip it over and crisscross it and flip it over again. And keep doing it as many times as you would like. Because my garlands are very, very long, the most effective way to go about this is to create your bundles and not create the tassels one by one. This is a very time-consuming project, so make sure you just have enough time to be able to make the amount of tassels you need. Overall, I had 40 tassels all together, so 20 on both garlands. This is the other garland that I was telling you about earlier. You see how there's 3 small beads and then a bigger bead. And if you actually look closely, there's like small, medium, small, big, small, small. There's no order to this, but I really love how it came out. So now you're just gonna tie your tassels onto your garland. I did sit out my garland and then place the tassels over them just to see where I wanted them, but I'm not overthinking this too much. I just know I wanted them to be spread out but full. This very last DIY, y'all, I am like over the hills. So we are gonna make tassels on a pillowcase. So I have 2 different color yarns, an off-white one and a full white one. I'm gonna go with the off-white one, and I'm gonna take a pillow cover that I got from IKEA. So this is IKEA Hack, and we are gonna start by creating tassels again. Now I do want these tassels to be bigger and bulkier but shorter, so I'm using a book in this case, and I'm going to rope it around the longest way so I have control over how much I want to trim off in the end. So this time around I wrapped the yarn around 50 times to get the bulkier look. The only minor difference with this tassel is that we're gonna wrap 2 threads around it this time, so one at the top and one right underneath it. This time around, I forgot to mention that I am dealing with a thicker yarn, so I don't have to double tie it so many times, but I did in this case just to make sure it's secured. Here I have 25 assorted craft needles. The one that you are going to need is an embroidery one that has a bigger eye and a sharp end, because we are going to be sewing it into the pillowcase, but we are dealing with a thicker yarn. And if I can be honest with y'all, having a thicker yarn is a little bit more tricky trying to get it through the head of the nail, simply because it's stringy. So a little bit of the yarn, pull it through, and the rest will follow. Take the pillow cover that you're going to be using and turn it inside out and measure exactly where you want your tassels. In my case, I am spreading them out every 2 inches. Measuring and marking inside of the pillowcase will ensure that your tassels will line up correctly on both ends. And now you're just going to thread your tassel inside of the pillowcase using your mark as a guide, and just pull it through the pillowcase and then tie it. Just like the last DIY, this one is a little bit more time consuming as well, because you are making bigger tassels. So get comfortable like I did in this video and create the bundles and begin creating your tassels, because the process will go by so much faster, trust me. I ended up with a total of 20 tassels that I'll be sewing into the pillow cover. Although I will be using this pillow for decorative purposes, I really want to make sure that none of the tassels fall out over time, so I am like quadruple tying the knots. But just make sure that your tassels are secured. that is it for the video. I hope that you guys enjoy this. Like, one style can be incorporated in so many different ways. So if you were inspired by this and you decide that you're gonna put your own twist on it, definitely tag me in them at Katherine on Instagram. I'm very active over there and I love talking to you guys. So thank you all so much for watching. If you have not, make sure you hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy DIYs. And as always, I will talk to you all later.